Well, is that a wrap? I'm not going to name anybody. And I'm like, uh-oh, you got bamboozled. Cut this out. But I know a lot of those gurus out there. Now you can build a system, right, with notes and various things that can help amplify that, but you have to have money. You have to either have money or time.
But as you go, I think it's just vital that you take good help and guidance from the right people.
It's really about financial freedom, right? Younger people or in general, they say, oh, well, I don't want to work 40 hours. I want to work less. So I want to be a business owner. And the reason that we have a business is what? What do you think the biggest reason that we go into business ownership is?
Well, I'm just to make money.
Well, how do you make sure it's successful? Well, you take income. You could take the income and then reinvest with the income that comes through you because you want to make sure that you are personally wealthy too. So it's personal wealth and business wealth. But oftentimes we say, oh, the business is good, but I'm poor here, or the other way. I'm really good here, but the business. And so you want to make sure that the business is lean, doing all the things. So it almost feels restrictive, poor, to where you're not just like spending like a drunken sailor. The interesting thing is, as a business owner, oftentimes we are last to get paid. We either pay ourselves too much or pay ourselves not at all, or we reinvest in the business all the time. And then if you're growing a business, I don't know if you have ever had this, but as you grow, you have to have people to help you.
I wrote my story, How to Tell If Your Guru is Full of Shit Before You Give Them Your Life Savings. I'm trying to catch people to read this before you join one because it's my story about the guru here. And I've been on the fence. Do I name and shame? Do I not? What's the consequence of saying his name or who my story is about? Because it helps more people. Hi, I'm with Brandon Neely today, and we're going to talk about how you have money and what you can do with it to make it go further, better, things that you don't need to spend $10,000 for a guru. Here's some information that you can just go find yourself. And here's Brandon to tell us all about it.
Hey, thanks, Joanne. Thanks for having me. I love helping business owners. I've been a business owner. Well, I've had two businesses, a coffee shop business that we started from the ground up. I did not have an expert to help me in that coffee shop business. And now I'm in the financial business. And of all things, finance. Who would have thought I'd be in the financial industry? But the reason I'm in it is because the things I thought I knew about money and the things I thought I knew about starting a business weren't true for the most part. And helping other people, especially business owners, understand how cash flow works is what I do now. And it's just exciting, frustrating, a lot of emotion, a lot of people's, I don't know, what they think they do and what they do are two different things. And I think that oftentimes we're looking for a cheat code, and there is no cheat code.
Yeah. What situation are people in when they come to you then? Are they like, hey, I've got this business, I'm making this money, but I never seem to put any in my own personal bank account. I still feel broke, or how can I expand this further? Are they the questions that come to you?
Yeah, it's a lot of them. I'm a specialist in the infinite banking space, so that's where I kind of started. And let me kind of rewind. Whenever I had the coffee shop, it was called Overflow. We thought we were doing everything right. We did the guru thing. We followed Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey. Actually, Dave would have said never start a business because you would have gone in debt to start the business. And anyway, a lot of hey, we have a passion for this. So what we learned in the beginning was intern with somebody who maybe knows what they're doing. Intern, not just buy their course, intern with them. So we interned at a coffee shop, didn't get paid to understand how a business flows, right? And so my wife quit her really expensive job, or really not expensive, she was getting paid well, to be an intern. Like that seems backwards.
Yeah.
But we learned all of that. And then she did bootstrapping to get the coffee shop going, right? Now, fast forward a few years later, we were doing all the things right. Business was going, but we were last to get paid. We actually weren't getting paid most of the time. And so this is where they say in the entrepreneur world, well, just suck it up, keep going. It'll happen eventually, right?
Perseverance. I hear that with gurus when people are having issues. Oh, you just need to persevere. You just need to persevere.
But perseverance doesn't pay the bills,
No.
right? So we were like, oh man, like seriously, it's illegal to not pay your taxes unless you're the government, I guess, or something. But for them, they can get away with it. We can't. And so what we did was we cut our income. So my wife and I, it was a passion. So we were living off of tips from the tip jar, trying to make it work. And I remember one time one person said, yeah, but you love it. I'm like, yes, I love what I do, but I also like to eat. And that's important. We had found this concept called infinite banking. We were still trying to save to do all the Susie Orman stuff, right? We were trying to save a little bit in case of emergency, learned about this and had started saving into life insurance of all things. Because most of the time the gurus tell you, put into a 401k, they match, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. That's what you're told, right?
Yeah.
All the time. However, a business owner is thinking differently. I need access to capital. What if something happens? What if I need to have the money to do another real estate deal or something like that? I don't need it locked up. So we were, as business owners, thinking our biggest risk was us, biggest investment was us. So we started saving, not investing into life insurance. Well, guess what happened? A situation.
Yeah.
And we had also come across profit first, some mindset shifts that happened of saying we need to pay ourselves. And so we started, changing our mindsets about making sure we are taking care of us. Because you can't overflow if you don't take care of you,
Yes.
right? And so overflow, we are very big on helping other people. But if we don't take care of us, again, we can't take care of other people, right? And so that shifted for us. We had a roof repair. The roof was off. We weren't the owners of the property. The roof was off and it rained. I don't know. Have you ever had a experience, where you're just kind of running around and then everything just shifts in a day where the whole world just collapses? That was a day for us. The roof is off. It's raining. I'm at the gym trying to take some R&R with my wife and I. Not really rest and relaxation, but exercise. And I'm on the treadmill. My staff calls me. No joke. Like, oh, all right, it's something crazy. I'll deal with it. I'll call them after. And I'm hearing in the gym is like LA Fitness or something. I hear the rain on the tin roof. Right. So I'm like, oh, well, it's raining outside. It sounds bad. And then they call Amanda, my wife. She's on the other treadmill. They call her after me. I was like, uh-oh, you better answer that. So she answers, and the staff says, you need to come in right now. This store is falling apart.
I guess. Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean? You're over dramatic. Literally, it was falling apart. Like they showed a video. I'm like, oh, try not to swear, but I was swearing then. And we run home to the car, get there, and we're wading through water because it rained. I mean, a couple inches. If there's no roof, it gets in there fast. And it was because of our life insurance policies, having that access, that savings, that discipline earlier when we were still like scrappy 3 years in and all that we were able to overcome the flood. This is crazy. We didn't know my wife was pregnant when she's walking through the water. And we're like, well, that was probably not a good idea. So we afterwards got it back to normal, used our life insurance to overcome the flood, found out we're pregnant. And so we're like, well, I can eat ramen as a business owner, an entrepreneur. I can do that every day, but I can't do that to a child.
Yeah.
And so that was where the shift was of saying, okay, we're gonna sell this business. And my wife's like, you need to go get a job. So I started looking for a job. My friend had a job posting, so I applied to work for him because he had done this kind of IB infinite banking thing. And I was like, oh, I can do that. So I signed up, interviewed. He's like, you're too entrepreneurial. I can't hire you because you're too entrepreneurial. You'll screw things up.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, now I don't know. I'm not even employable. I need to get a job. I need to sell this business, get a job because we have a baby coming.
Yeah.
And he comes back a couple months later and says, I have an idea. How about you and your wife start your own agency and I'll coach you? I was like, that sounds better. So I can create my own agency. He can be my mentor, not my guru, that helps me build an agency. That was almost 8 years ago because my son is 8 in a couple weeks. And so I know how when that business started and now this one. And then what I've found is a lot of business owners, they're chasing returns, they're chasing this, or people in general, that they don't understand profit. That's where Profit First, one of our really good guides that I like, helps to understand where's the flow of money happening. And are you actually running a healthy business, or is it just a big side hustle and I don't know, fun club that's really costing you a lot?
Yeah, it's you would think that, oh yeah, I'm going to quit my job. I hate my boss and I hate my 9 to 5. My life is so mundane. I'm going to do this, and then you see all the glitz and glamour online of people making, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, and you're like, oh wow, it just sounds like that easy. And these are the real stories about what actually happens and what you go through and the journey it takes you to get to the point where you are. And then having actual guidance, I think, yeah, is so helpful.
And I would argue that most people are faking it. And what we see on TikTok and all of that, having a 6-figure business is great. But keeping that money is very different than making it as well. So you could be, I had a client that was making millions of dollars. And I said, so how are you doing? How's that going? Oh yeah, I don't don't make any. And on the other side, in order to make that, they're using credit cards or line of credit at 22% to maintain. I'm like, wait, you are not, that is not good. And so
Yeah.
that's where the Profit First system, and I would say a lot of business owners, real return and real income coming in, not just coming in, keeping matters more than what they say on TikTok.
Yeah, so you can have, your income, the turnover of your business can be, 6, 7, 8 figures, but it's what your profit is at the end of it, isn't it? It's like there's no point making a million if you've got to spend 1.1 million just to make a
Yeah,
million.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and so yeah, and then people get a bit desperate, and then they'll, say, oh yeah, I make this much money, but you just don't see behind the curtain. So I guess you've
Mhm.
seen all sorts of your clients. Obviously, we're not going to tell any confident information, um, but yeah, it's going to be, don't say any names, but yeah, you must have seen all sorts of, people going, oh, I'm really struggling, or some people maybe think that they're doing really well, and then I guess you look into it and go, what, you could be doing so much better. Why are you doing this, that, or the other?
Well, and I see it a lot, and I think a lot of times, really, when I do a full analysis, and I do a full analysis to see where policy fits or where Profit First fits, and a lot of times people are don't understand their own metrics. They don't understand their own selves, for that matter. And so they're running around trying to make money again, but they don't know how to keep it.
Yeah,
And so making money is great, and we'll buy widgets, especially business owners and entrepreneurs. We love shiny objects. So we get all these things that say, oh, well, this will help me, this will help me, this will help me. And we never actually build a good system. And then if you're growing a business, I don't know if you have ever had this, but as you grow, you have to have people to help you. And so then your biggest expense is payroll, right? And so then you are not just trying to do marketing, but you have payroll, you have all the other things that deal with that, and then you're a therapist to the staff, and then they're, younger than you and you're older, or all the things that I'm like, oh my gosh. No wonder people just want to I just want to make money and be on the beach. I've seen those videos all the time, and I'm like, that's not, doesn't really happen.
no. I guess you don't know what you don't know until somebody like you comes in and looks into all their business and how it's been run and go, oh, did you know about this? There's loads of things that I've heard you say and Amanda say. That's like, I had no idea. So like with me doing fix and flicking, so if I end up with a cash pot of money, rather than me taking that out of the bank and buying a house, then paying for the renovation, selling it, making the profit and getting my money back, I can not touch it and use it as collateral to loan against it.
Mhm.
Right. So I lessen the risk of, oh my goodness, that's taken out. And then I can also keep making interest because the money's staying in. As long as I make more interest of the money staying in the bank than the interest alone against it, surely that's another way that don't people don't think of, that you could, use your money better, make it work smarter.
Well, and most people, I would say the biggest things I see as I talk to countless people is they don't know their goals, right? They don't know what they want to accomplish. And so as I go through and I talk to a lot of people and I ask, well, what do you want to what do you want to happen? What's the goal? And they're like, well, that's a great question. I don't know. I never thought about that before. And I'm like, how do you never think about like where do you want to be in 5 years or those kind of factors? Now, Wall Street does the same thing, and they say, well, you know what you can do? Put it into Wall Street and ETF funds, and we'll get you there. But a business owner is thinking differently, right? They're thinking cash flow. And so we want to think through, hey, I have a real estate that I fixed up, and I'm going to sell it or buy and hold. And the reason that we do these various things is because of taxes, right? Oh, if I sell it, I'm going to have capital gains, do all this stuff unless I wait to day 366 or something like that. And there's a lot of complexity, right? There's a guy named Donald Miller, and he says, if you confuse, you lose. And so it's a really good book. Story Brand was a classic for him. Well, actually, his big classic was Blue Like Jazz. But he wrote that, and I was like, man, that's true in everything, right? If the tax code is bigger than the Bible, right? And then we have all this chaos running a business, and you're doing, I don't know, flips like you might be doing. Well, you also have to deal with the contractors and all the other stuff. And then you get it ready. And then the tenant doesn't show up or I don't know, whatever, all kinds of crazy stuff. But and then you sell it, but then you have to sell it within a certain amount of time to do the 1031 exchange. And if not, you have penalties and all kinds of crazy stuff that most people don't know. Right. And you're like, oh, okay, I see that. And that's where you're coming in too. Having a guide, not a guru, but a guide that says, hey, by the way, I know you're going to do this. I know you're thinking that this is going to happen. And all these people come in and say, well, the grass is greener on the other side. Always say it. And then they get there and they're like, whoa, you were right. And I'm like, I know I was right.
I actually know what I'm talking about.
I know what I'm talking about. And it's crazy. I have people like, if I will be successful whenever I have 100 doors.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness, yes, yes.
I've heard that so many times, and I'm like, well, how are you going to get there? And then you talk to the next person. Man, I can't wait. I will be successful when I sell all these properties, but I can't because I'm locked in because of the taxes, and I can't wait to sell all these, right? And having these conversations back to back, and you're like, man, these people need to like talk to each other. They probably won't because one's older and one's younger. The young one thinks that they know it all. The old one is like, I wish I would have listened to myself. Anyway, and as much as we say it would be different for me, I would bet you most of us wouldn't listen to older us's advice um, most of the time.
Yeah,
If we're honest.
yeah. Well, I feel like I may not have in the past. Yeah, yeah. I don't, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I feel like when you've gone past your own parents to the next generation, you're like, come on, there's a big gap there in the way that life has changed so fast. And there's some things that,
Yeah.
grandparents might say, and you're like, you kind of roll your eyes at it. You're like, it doesn't work like that anymore. That's not how the world is. You live in your own four walls now, and you're not out and working life how it is now. But then also, they still have wisdom behind them, and it's still worth listening and
Yep.
hearing what they have to say. And then if you want to take it, or you might even get snippets, go, oh my goodness, yes, of course, that's amazing. So yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of it's a tough one with that, listening to older generation than younger. But I think it's better if you're still in the working class age
Yeah.
rather than later.
Well, and our business name, when we sold Overflow and we started our business, we called it Grandma's Wealth Wisdom. And that's what it was called previously. And the tagline was sometimes intelligence skips a generation, right? And the reality is back and if you look at history and we aren't oftentimes a good at looking at history, but everything that's happening now has happened before, pretty much, right? And so historically, I look at grandma's generation and say, what did they do? Oh, they saved. They weren't in the investing world. They were savers. They also had the pension, which we don't have hardly anymore, but they put a lot of money into life insurance and they lived within their means. Now
Yeah.
we're taught, oh, well, you can buy anything you want. Just use a credit card. And so we're spending more than we make. Banks are making money both on either end because remember, greatest generation, they could save in a bank account and they get 6 and 7% interest on a bank account, right? That's amazing. Of course, they're going to say that. But their interest rates on their houses were very high. And so they would say, pay off your house. Well, of course, if that's your only debt and it's at 12%, they're going to overpay. But if the interest rate on a mortgage is 2%, why would you pay it off? Right. But now it's going to six. And so the answer I like to tell is to people is it depends, but we should be saving, and saving is different than investing. And if you build a good foundation, you can do almost anything. But most people don't have a solid foundation.
But would you say if you save your money and just keep it in a bank account these days, that like in years to come, it's not worth the money that when you first put it in because the inflation is rising so
Mhm.
much higher than what it did a few generations ago.
Yep.
So I had a conversation with somebody the other day called Dylan, who invests in Bitcoin. So I was saying to him, my kids get birthday money, $25 here in pounds and what have you from different family members. Because I say, like, I can handle the gifts. If you want to give them something, give them some money. So they have money now set in a bank account that's locked away until they're 18. And I'm thinking, why did I do that? Why? Because that's not going to be worth the money it is today is not going
Yep.
to be worth that, when they're 18. So we had a long conversation that if you put it into Bitcoin, yes, people say it's a risk to put it somewhere else rather than you can log in your bank account and see it every day. But by looking at the history, it will grow and it will grow in line with inflation, if not above, rather than being
Yep.
behind. So would you not agree with that, or you think still do savings because then it gives you options to do things in your life as you grow?
I think liquidity is not valued enough,
Yeah.
right? And so whether sometimes it's lazy money, right? And it's okay to have some lazy money. I put a lot of my savings into properly designed whole life policies that I can access and use. So I save a lot into because I'm a business owner, right? I do some in the market, some in Bitcoin and other things, but my biggest risk is me. My biggest investment is me. So I save a big portion, including taxes, into life insurance policies. And then what I do is I will use that as a line of credit. This is what we do with our houses, right? When we have a house paid off, we use what do we call a HELOC, right? Home equity line of credit. Who gets the interest on that?
Well, the bank that you've loaned from.
Yes, the banks, right? Can you get it if you're a business owner and you have a paid off house and you just started a business? Could you pull the equity out of your house? Would it be easy to do that? Qualify for a loan?
I haven't done it myself, so I couldn't say personally, but it seems to be here in America. Yeah, yeah, go on, take the money, off you go. You go spend it. That's what it seems to be here as the narrative to encourage
But
people to go off and spend.
but you wouldn't most of the time to do a HELOC if you have, or even buying a house, unless they can show that you're going to be able to make good on that. So if you're just starting a business venture or trying to get a new mortgage, that's why having a W-2 spouse and a non-W-2 spouse is helpful because then you can kind of build. But with life insurance, I'm doing the same kind of thing, except I'm the house, right?
Right.
I am the
No
house.
HELOC. There's no HELOC. There's no against
No
your
HELOC.
property with the roof on your head.
Yeah. And I can take the money and use it for whatever I want. So I've saved for my taxes into a life insurance policy. And then I've used that same life insurance policy. And I did this because I know this is real estate. I did this buying my office condo. Remember, I've had floods. So I'm not like you where I'm going to buy fix and flips and do any of this. I do notes. That's the kind of real estate that I like to do because I've had 4 floods in my life with only 2 houses. So, or yeah, one house and office. So I'm like, this is not my lot. I'm not going to go after more water. But I used my life insurance to be the collateral, and I did a 50-50 split for my office condo that I'm standing in right now. I own it, right? My policy. I used my equity in personally to buy my office. And then my business pays me rent, right? Because I'm a tenant too. I'm the owner and the tenant. And so I'm going to make sure that the toilets are good and no one's going to be spray painting anything. But that's control, right? And so I love that. And then as I have my first mortgage, it's a business one. So it's a balloon. It'll balloon in like 3 years, right? I'll be able to use my policy to pay off the bank if I need to, or see what happens in the world of interest rates. And I might refinance or do all that. But the interest rates are not looking like they're going to go down anytime soon. So it's all about playing the math game, right? It's really what I do all the
Yeah.
time.
And so I wouldn't have a clue on how to structure that, how to do it, how much money I'd need saved, how much would I need in the life insurance to then the ratio for, an office space or such. So is that where you and Amanda come in? Like you could then look at where I'm at, all my
Yep.
finances, and then say, right, you've got this much money in here, here, and here, so you can now do this much for,
Yeah.
say, for what you've just done. Or if I,
Yeah, and the way I look at it is it's not about a dollar amount, it's percentages, right? So remember there's a book called Richest Man in Babylon. A percentage of all you earn is for you to keep. That's what he says, right? In one of those parts. So what I do, and this is I've done a like kind of like a mind map of our finances. So personal finances. I do what I call the 10-10-10 savings rule, right? You might not start with 10-10-10. It might be 5-5-5 because there's a lot of debt, but I save and I tithe also. So I tithe 10%, that leaves 90%, right?
yeah,
Living. Well, I save 10% for long-term expenses. Save, not invest. Savings is not investing. Save. So
yeah,
I save for long term, right? That's old me. And then I save another 10% for medium term. You know how many people come to me medium term. I don't know. Sometimes it's Christmas, depending on time, but they always forget that Christmas is here. And I'm like, dude, every year, the same day,
yeah,
Christmas comes and you're like scrambling and you have no money. Well, you could budget for it, do the percentages. And then the 10% for medium, 10% for long, and 10% for short term. That's my loan repayment because I borrowed from old me to do certain things, and then young me is paying old me back. That's on the personal side, right? And so that's how I started my little guys, my small policies that were like 5,000 a year because I should always be saving, right? And then on the other side, I have it called the profit first system, right? So you still have when money comes in, 100%, right? So 50% of your business should be owner's pay, 35% towards OpEx, 15% taxes, and 5% profit. That should equal 100. Never said a dollar amount. But then that tells me if I'm doing those things, well, where do I put those? I have the bank accounts, the 5 accounts. One of them just happens to be a life insurance policy that'll recycle and reuse and do all the things, right? Because I have a good financial system.
yeah,
Now, business owners probably don't realize, or maybe they do, this month is great, next month, not so great, right? So
yeah.
we have to like have real numbers and understand how it goes. And then again, I told you my biggest expense is payroll, right? I'm thinking like 6 months down the line, they are thinking about right now. And I have to be thinking through that. And then I'm allocating those funds, right? But if most business owners aren't even profitable, that's why profit first. But profit first, owners pay, then you reverse engineer, where most people don't do that.
Yeah, I think something you said earlier on about, your 10-10-10 and dividing the money up in percentages is actually freeing. You're not living restricted. It's actually more freeing. So come Christmas time when you want to go and do these things and buy people gifts and go to pantomimes and evening meals and stuff and celebrate. that it's freeing because you're not scrambling for the money and oh, I'll put it on a credit card, pay it later, and then the panic comes or you get tax
Yep,
return
yep,
off then. It's freeing to just be like, yeah, yeah, no, here's the money for that. Let's go have a good time and let's go and enjoy it. So I think,
yep.
yeah, people don't think about it that way. They think, oh, you're living restricted because you're only given a certain amount. It's like, no, 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 that certain amount is good to go on this thing. That's all fine with me, and enjoy it in that moment. Enjoy it.
Well, you think about bodybuilders. I mean, seriously, you look at some people who are physically fit. What do? They're restricting certain things to have what the goals and outcomes that they want.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It just,
And then I remember reading a book, and I cannot for the life of me remember his name, but it was a fantastic book. It was an audio book, and it was, a collection of all his speeches. And he was saying at one point that, he was running a business and he had payroll, like you say, that's like the biggest concern.
mhm.
Yet he was always not getting paid or getting paid last or getting paid less than his employees. He's like, I'm the boss. I should be making the most. I've orchestrated the
Yep.
whole company. Why am I not getting paid and compensated for doing that? So then he spun it round where he pays himself first and said to the employees, hey, I'm good this month. I paid myself X amount of money. If you want your wages, you need to make sure this business is running so that the business can pay your wages. And then it really incentivized them to be like, gosh, yeah, right. I want to be paid and I want my job next month. We need this company to keep running. I love working here. And it really incentivized people to keep going. He said it was very successful. Yeah, no, so I listened to a book, and for life of me, I can't remember his name, but it was a collection of stories of him doing speaking engagements. And on one of them, he was saying that he had this company and he had founded it, started it, he was the boss, yet he was getting paid less than some of the employees. But then also some months, he didn't get paid. There was no money left at the end of all the expenses and all the payroll to then pay him. So he flipped it over with some advice, is that when he was going through all the expenses, he paid himself first, then every expense come after that. So he then said to his employees as well, as I paid myself X amount this month. We've got this much left in the pot. You need to get to work and make this company more
Mhm.
money because otherwise you won't get paid. The company can't pay you if it doesn't make the money. And so they were then incentivized to do their job better as best they can to make sure the company kept going, making money so that they could, make their wages every month. And he said it worked really well. And finally, he was on top. He was like, why am I not getting paid even though I'm, the person who employed everyone here? So I thought that was a really good
That,
way of turning it around.
I mean, that sounds like Mike Michalowicz, right? So Mike, when he wrote Profit First and all the books, he has this one is a personal one that he did, Money Habits, which is the personal side of Profit First. The interesting thing is, as a business owner, oftentimes we are last to get paid. We either pay ourselves too much or pay ourselves not at all, or we reinvest in the business all the time. I don't know if you ever heard that. Like, I'm just going to reinvest. I'm in reinvesting phase, right? Again, well, how do you make sure it's successful? Well, you take income. You could take the income and then reinvest with the income that comes through you because you want to make sure that you are personally wealthy too. So it's personal wealth and business wealth. But oftentimes we say, oh, the business is good, but I'm poor here, or the other way. I'm really good here, but the business. And so you want to make sure that the business is lean, doing all the things. So it almost feels restrictive, poor, to where you're not just like spending like a drunken sailor, right? Because then your staff's like, oh, well, it's in the account. It's good. And you're like, well, no. And then Mike does this. And every year we do this as well, is an expense challenge. What are things that we thought were going to be good? Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I like shiny things. I like to buy things. And most of the time, as I think this is going to do well for my business, I get into it and I'm like, oh, great. I just got into another guru thing that I thought was going to work and it didn't. And I got stuck again. So then you go through the expense challenge and say, oh, wait, I didn't do that. Or I bought something and I didn't do my follow through. That tells you a lot about yourself too, right? Maybe the program was great. Maybe the guru is perfect, but we didn't do the steps to do whatever it was. And so then you do an expense challenge, cut the things, because in the end, it's about profitability of business. And the reason that we have a business is what? What do you think the biggest reason that we go into business ownership is?
Well, I'm just to make money. I don't
Yeah.
know. Am I wrong? That's what I would think. You want
but
to
to
make
make money for who?
successful for yourself. You want to make money
Yes.
for yourself. And then it's a good feeling to think that you bring people with you to help them be successful and achieve better in their lives. I feel that way. I feel like, oh, I love what I do because it brings money to my contractor and his staff, to title
Yeah.
companies, to my agents, to the, all different people involved in what I do. Because I'm in the middle creating it all, everyone else is then getting paid. Although I'm not directly employing them, I'm not sending them, wages as such, but everyone's making money. And I love that. But I also want to make myself money, of course.
Well, in the end, this is where it's really about financial freedom, right? Whatever that means.
Oh my gosh,
To be
such a
able to
loose
do
term.
what
You
I
create
want,
passive income.
passive income, whatever they call that. I don't know. I think most of it's all made up, but
Yeah,
to do what I want when I want to do it. And then, but in the financial world, we're taught put into a 401k, don't touch it, wait till you're 60. But we want to retire when we're 40. And the younger people, or in general, they say, oh, well, I don't want to work 40 hours. I want to work less. So I want to be a business owner so I can do what you do because you're able to do it at the beach. I'm like, well, we're at the beach, but I'm still thinking about this and doing, putting out fires and staff and all the other things.
yeah,
And I've talked to countless people that are like at the Small Business Expo. I can't wait to start my own business so I can just checks will come in. I'm like, I don't know what you're smoking, but that doesn't happen unless you're like uber wealthy and you're doing certain amounts that are reinvesting kind of things. Now you can build a system, right, with notes and various things that can help amplify that. But you have to have money. You have to either have money or time,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's the problem is most people look at Jeff Bezos or other rich people and say, well, I'm going to be like that. I'm like, he has money. He doesn't need the time because he hires people to do the things where you have only time, no money. And it's either or. You got to figure out which way you want to go. But oftentimes our gurus who we look up to, they're not in the same playing field as us, right?
No, no, and they make it seem like it's so easy. You can too. You just need to give me $10,000, and then I'm sitting there screaming, going, "They're only there because everyone keeps giving them $10,000." That's why they can say they make six figures a month, a week, whatever.
Yep.
Is
Yep.
that not the model they're teaching? And really, what it comes from is being sensible, smart, getting the right people around you, having people like you who know what they're on about, and being through some of the same struggles. Like I've been through struggles in my business and you have as well. Like you understand and you have that empathy,
Yep.
whereas you're not going to get with a guru. They just want your time. They're just like, oh no, give me the money. Oh, here's the next up. I'll tell you what, it's not working for you. Give me another $10,000 and join my elite mastermind. You're like, you're still not going to get anywhere forward. You need sensible conversations with people who
Mhm.
actually know what they're doing. And I think that's great what you and Amanda do. How can people reach you and get hold of you?
Yeah. One thing I want to make sure of too, just to when people start their business, what the same rules may not apply as when they're selling their course, right? So sometimes these gurus came out and it was 2022, interest rates were low and it was really great. And so it worked for them.
Yeah,
And now the interest rates at 2026 are very different. And they're like, well, it worked for him then. I'm like, well, because the environment changed. And so the environment is changing fast. And so being adaptable, I mean, I don't know about you, but AI didn't exist like 2 years ago, at least not the way it does now.
yeah,
And everything is shifting. And so understanding that is really important, right? So anyway, just wanted to make sure that people understand timing is important of when they started their guru thing. But cash flow is more important. People can find me if you go to livecounterflow.com. You will have a find your flow quiz there. So you can go on the website, find your flow. You'll find out if you're a pirate, deckhand, captain, or overboard. Those will tell you a lot about who you are, what you can accomplish or do. So did you hear anything?
yeah. I got as far as categories of like being a pirate, being overboard, and finding out who.
Okay. Yep. So if you should go there and see what you are. The Find Your Flow, it is a really cool thing that we created because some people they're captains, they're business owners. They just need a map, right? And so they're captaining the wrong ship sometimes. Or what's really interesting is if you have two spouses who are both captains, and you're like, no wonder you're having fights, right? Or pirate. Oftentimes there's a lot of pirates out there who want to start their own thing but they haven't gotten to captain space yet. And so those are just some little things. And then we have a financial nervous system. But I would say the bigger thing and what I like to help people figure out is know more about who you are
Yeah.
before you go seek a guru. Find out who you are, what makes you tick, and then build the systems to align with that. And I think the financial system is built to not align with it. It's to extract, and counterflow is built to say, okay, how does it work for us, not against us?
I love that. I had a conversation with a guy called Jared, actually, literally about that, about finding out where you're at in your situation and what is realistically possible for you. Somebody might have just, lost a family member and inherited,
Mhm.
$10,000, 100, $1 million. And gosh, what do they do with that now? Lottery winners, for example, a lot of them lose it within the first 10 years, don't they? All gone again. And so somebody could come into just a load of money and just go out the gate, boom, 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 you just go spend it on whatever. And I invested in doing this course and I put it all here. I've seen it, then lose the money. But then other people might just get frustrated. Or when you have kids, it really puts that pressure on to be like, I've got a clock now. I've got 18 years before they leave home ish,
Mhm.
before they leave school. And I want them to have the best childhood and best upbringing, and I want all the things that I didn't have, and I want time with them. But then I also want a business, like you say, what your money or time, which one is it? And yeah, and that pressure really is on, and you could be starting from nothing, but you want more. But as you go, I think it's just vital that you take good help and guidance from the right people on what's the best way to get you there, like slow and steady and going up rather than just peaking and then flopping straight back down and causing issues at home as well. But yeah, and I think it's great the way you've categorized that. Of it's fun. I think if you're a
Yep.
pirate, or what's overboard? Is that just when you're just and there's disaster and you're losing money left, right, center?
Pretty much. The overboard is like you're on so much credit card debt and you can overcome it, but you have to acknowledge that you're overboard. And most people who are overboard aren't in the room. They're at Macy's, I guess, buying stuff that they shouldn't be. And they got there for a reason, right? Somehow. And again, if you confuse, you lose. Everyone has a plan for your money, those kind of things. The system is built for us to be overboard, to be in chaos, to do all of that. And if we understand and build the right systems, and knowing, as Nelson Nash, the founder of Infinite Banking, says, is arrival syndrome. You've never arrived. I'm not there yet, but I'm moving in a direction. And I have a 8-year-old. Man, that kid gets to do a lot more than I did. That's a lot of fun. But it also, playing the game and understanding we're all in a game, but we need to know what our rules are, what we want first and foremost.
And
And
not looking at other people and comparing because you don't know really what you're comparing.
so anyway, you can find us if you go to Live Counterflow, do the quiz. Amanda's on Substack. If you like reading, she's a very thoughtful writer, and I'm on TikTok right now. I'm not very thoughtful, but it's different. Yeah, so look up Counterflow, and you'll find us in all the places.
Yeah, we'll put the link on here for everyone to click on. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh yeah, and I'm excited, Joanne, for all the stuff you're doing and how you're teaching people. Because man, everybody buys it. Who knows who's going to come out next and be like, "Oh yeah, you should do this."
Yeah, let's just be sensible and just sharing good people who are out there and people that I trust, and and just help people make better decisions and not hasty ones. Because yeah, I've been there myself.
Awesome. Well, is that a wrap? I'm not going to name anybody. You should cut this out, but I know a lot of those gurus out there, and I'm like, uh-oh, you got bamboozled. And I know a few that I'm like, oh, and then you're complaining that a policy costs too much, and you're not doing this, but you spent how much in a program? $100,000 that'll teach you to be anyway.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I mean, I wrote my story, how to tell if your guru is full of shit before you give them your life savings. I'm trying to catch people to read this before you join one because it's my story about the guru here. And I've been on the fence. Do I name and shame? Do I not? What's the consequence of saying his name or who my story is about? Because it helps more people go, oh shit, actually, hang on, I better be wary of this person, but then they're going to sue me. I'm like, oh, I
yeah.
don't know.
I want to have integrity, and that's part of my thing. But I'm like, all right, I don't know. When you figure that out, let me know.
No.
Um,
As I was
but
writing the book with Jonathan and Renee, who are in the group as well, Renee was like redacting so much stuff. She's like, you can't write that, you can't say that, you can't name this person. We're going to have to keep changing how we because I kept going back to the same person as well within the group who was being showcased. And it was actually the nephew, but we kept having to change, like, oh, call him a star student, and then we had to call him an associate, and then blah, blah, blah. So it wasn't just always on the same person, which is annoying because I'm like, I'm just telling you the truth, but
I
it's
mean, it
really
is,
hard.
we are in the age of lawsuits, and though, and if he has more money, he'll win.
Exactly. It's annoying.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much.